a lesson in leadership and power. Today we break down the leadership, the power, and the influence of Crip co-founder Stanley Tookie Williams. The undisputed leader of the West Side Crips, Tookie was not only a fierce fighter and bodybuilder, he was also a stand-up leader whose influence helped the Crips grow rapidly across LA. But having all that power and influence comes at a cost. We will break down his leadership style, his strengths and weaknesses, and what led to his downfall. Let's dive in. Born December 29, 1953 in New Orleans, later moved to South Central Los Angeles. He grew up in poverty, surrounded by crime, and became notorious for his fighting ability and reputation as a street enforcer. In 1969, alongside Raymond Washington, Williams co-founded the Crips, one of America's most infamous street gangs. The gang grew rapidly, uniting smaller neighborhood cliques under a single banner, but also escalating deadly rivalries with other gangs, especially the Bloods. In 1981, Williams was convicted of 4 murders, all tied to robberies. He always maintained his innocence but was sentenced to death. From prison, he wrote children's books warning against gangs, created anti-gang foundations, and became an international figure advocating peace before his execution in 2005. Leadership style charismatic enforcer. His reputation for strength and violence initially gave him authority. He led by intimidation and loyalty built on fear, respect, and street credibility. Gang nation builder. He tried to create a broader identity beyond small crews, pushing unity under the Crips name, which functioned as a brand of power across Los Angeles. Reformist later in life. In prison, his leadership shifted to intellectual and moral influence, using his voice to discourage youth from following his early path. Cultural influence. Street culture. Williams symbolized both the dangers and the allure of gang life. His co-founding of the Crips had a ripple effect that shaped decades of urban violence, music, and street identity across America. Prison reform symbol. His later writings and activism influenced schools, prisons, and even international communities, sparking debate on redemption, justice, and the death penalty. Pop culture. His name was immortalized in hip-hop, movies, and documentaries, often as a symbol of both destruction and redemption. Weaknesses as a leader. Reliance on violence. His authority came mainly from physical dominance, not long-term strategy. This made his leadership vulnerable to rivals once others could replicate or surpass his reputation. No centralized structure. The Crips grew fast but fractured into sets. Williams never established disciplined leadership channels, so internal wars spiraled out of control. Failure to transition. Early, unlike figures who evolved into businessmen or political actors, he was consumed by street wars and prison time, limiting his ability to maintain influence. Strengths as a leader. Foundational vision. He co-created an enduring identity, the Crips, a brand that outlasted him. Fear. Respect. His physical presence and reputation made him a natural leader in violent environments. Redeemed voice. In prison, he shifted to intellectual and moral authority, leveraging his name to influence youth positively. Laws he mastered. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Williams embodied notoriety. His name carried weight on the streets and later in global media. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. He helped unify disparate cliques into the Crips, creating concentrated power rather than scattered influence. Law 25. Recreate yourself. His prison transformation into an author and anti-gang advocate was a deliberate reinvention. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. On the streets, he exploited fear and intimidation to control rivals and followers. Laws he broke. Law 1. Never outshine the master. By becoming too powerful, he attracted law enforcement and political masters who made him a target. Law 15. Crush your enemy. Totally, the Crips' wars with Bloods and rival Crip sets proved he never eliminated opposition, leading to endless cycles of violence. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. His leadership lacked foresight. The Crips devolved into chaos after rapid expansion. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Instead of avoiding unwinnable battles, like the system, he stayed in conflict, which ultimately led to his downfall. Stanley Tookie Williams left a dual legacy: the architect of one of America's deadliest street gangs, and later, a reformed man whose writings saved lives by warning youth away from gangs. His story reflects the paradox of power, how it can build empires but also destroy their creators, if not guided by discipline and foresight.